Warning! This program contains strong adult language, violence, and brief nudity. It's everything you're looking for.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Whispers here on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog, and UPRN, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. It is 91 degrees out. It's 6 o'clock and it's 91 degrees out. It's depressing, Lola.
No, because I've been in here since 9:30.
It's just so hot. See, I don't do well in the heat, which is really crazy because we're moving to the beach.
I know.
But there's water there. It's just so hot. I'm in the car because we went out because, we're moving. So we went out to Monroeville because I'd always wanted to go out to Monroeville and see where Dawn of the Dead was filmed because that was always one of my favorite shows. So, our favorite movies, George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. So we went out to Monroeville Mall to see where the zombie takeover happened, like Zombie Ground Zero. And driving back, we hit some rush hour, and it was just so hot. We had the air on high. And, you could only feel the cold air where the stream of air was hitting you. The rest was, sweating. It was so hot in the car.
Now, see, somebody just called and said, really? Your thermometer is all messed up. It's because you're sitting next to me.
It is. It is. You got me sweating, panting like a dog.
Oh, nice.
Woo!
Nice. There is just something wrong with this picture.
See, Sarah's all hot and bothered, too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I feel bad for her, too, because she's pregnant and doing it, so it's like her senses are all screwy anyway, so when she's hot,
Yeah, I remember those days. Vaguely. As I should. My kid will call me tonight at 11:28. That's when he was actually born. So he always calls.
Yeah, happy birthday, Eric. It's his birthday.
Yes, it's Eric's birthday. But yeah, he calls me every year on his birthday when he was birthed. So
you don't forget.
I guess.
So usually it's the other way around. Usually Mom calls
No,
at 11. City Slickers. Remember the movie City Slickers?
Yes.
Billy Crystal's sitting in bed. All of a sudden his mom calls. It was 6:43 a.m. when
No, he always calls the pain in your.
But
yes, calling to remind you. Yeah, today's his birthday.
Oh, well, happy birthday. I would sing, but, there are people listening and their ears would bleed. Mm-hmm. And I don't want that to happen.
No, I don't either.
For those of you who know, we were trying to work out a thing where we moved. Whispers will start. This is Whispers' last episode here in the Ohio Valley. We were going to carry the show here after we moved, but there are schedule changes, with the station. We're picking up Howard Monroe in the morning, and that'll be broadcast on both things. And then everybody's shifting into new time slots. So Whispers no longer has a time slot. So this will be our last broadcast here in the Valley. We will miss you.
But it'll be online.
Yes, Whispers still will be a show. Our new studio is going to be AM 1240 WLSC, and that is in Loris, South Carolina, right by Myrtle Beach. So that'll be good, and that'll be picking up August 6th.
Okay. For
those of you out there. Whispersradio.com, you'll still be able to hear every episode. It'll still be uploaded to iTunes. If you have the iPhone, iPad app, it'll still be uploaded to that.
Is that news station on iHeart or TuneIn? Have to check and see.
Have to check it out. Yeah, I know they got a lot going on. There's even talk of recording it and adding it to Myrtle Beach Television Network, which if you have a Roku, one of those boxes that you hook up to your TV, that's what Glenn Beck's program is caught up on. But they have Myrtle Beach has a TV station on that, and we may be on that. So that'll be fun. Yeah. You can check it out that way as well.
Yeah.
Give us a call, 304-214-1600. If you're out of the area, 1-866-514-1600. That's toll free. I'm Jordan Cline. She's Sarah Cline.
Hello.
She's yawning.
Sorry.
She's prego. We find out Tuesday what the baby is. We're very excited. Mm-hmm. We're taking bets online. We're running the numbers. I hear it's 50-50. I don't know, as long as it's one or the other. And she is the lovely little Miller over there trying to get our guest on the phone. It's cool because this week I've been talking to this guy on email for the past few weeks. You get him on? Mm-hmm. All right, his name is Jeff Stewart. Jeff is with Pine Paranormal. I want to say that I just know Pine. Is that right, Jeff?
Well, we prefer just the letters P-I-N-E, but
okay.
It is what it is.
well, it's hard to come across as just the letters over an email.
Yes, it is. It sure is, man.
So, what is it that your group does? We've been having specific topics every week. You guys kind of do everything.
We do. It kind of stems from when I first got into the business. Things were a little bit different back then. Your run-of-the-mill ghost hunter was just usually someone that stuck to just ghosts and hauntings and maybe dabbled in psychic phenomenon. More or less, the technical term now is parapsychology. But even then, that has grown to great lengths nowadays as well, where a paranormal investigator usually is someone that kind of investigates or does investigate every aspect of the paranormal.
So do you get into like UFOs and all that kind of stuff as well?
Right, yeah. We investigate everything from cryptozoology, ghost and hauntings, psychic phenomenon, occult, demonology, all the way to ufology and aliens. It keeps things interesting. I guess that's probably the best way to state it.
Well, let me ask you this. With your group, do you have one person specifically assigned to like each category? Like you're in charge of Bigfoot, you're in charge of like the gray aliens, do you delegate responsibilities, or do you just kind of all know a little piece and just say, jump in, say, let's go?
Well, yes and no. I know that sounds kind of odd to state. I'm kind of a general jack of all trade and master of none. I believe that, to be an investigator of the paranormal, you got to have at least the basics covered. The general facts on each subject. I do have members that prefer to stick to just one or two types of phenomenon, and the others usually work with the not so as known and as investigated. A lot of people, especially nowadays, get into organizations due to the popularity of the ghost hunting shows, which is great. It's definitely changed the last 10 years. Things have really turned around for the field. Before, people would more or less say, "Oh, what do you do?" And it's like, "Yeah, that's what you do." Okay, I understand that. Or if you tell somebody your title, they're like, "What does that mean exactly?" And then you'd have to explain to them in details, and they're like, "Oh, okay, that's understandable." And I like to put it basically that we're kind of private investigators working in the gray area of the unknown. That's probably the best way. We don't necessarily subscribe to one theory, one philosophy. Everybody kind of comes in from a different angle. We've got a couple of skeptics on the organization that, you got to show some hard evidence for me to say this is what you're saying it is. And then, of course, we have people that are believers that have had experiences of their own. So it's kind of a 50-50 split right now in the organization.
Now, you have 6 members, is that right?
There's actually 8 right now.
They just didn't graduate to website worthy?
Members.
Do what?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We just added 2 part-time members.
Okay.
But yeah, the core group is 6 members. We've, the most we've ever had was probably 10 or 11 people, and I got to be honest.
It's hard to manage that.
It is incredibly hard. I don't know what I was thinking, and I don't know why I was talked into letting so many members come aboard, but never again.
When I was actively investigating, there was a college here that asked us to come and do tour groups, show how to investigate and take it through, different places in the college. And me and my cousin Nick, who used to do the show with me, kind of split off. And we had like 75 kids in each group. And just,
oh my goodness!
It's like all of them had their cameras out, and I was like, "Man, this is ridiculous."
Yeah, we're not going to need the EMF meters on this one. We generated our own field.
Everybody sit in a corner and just take pictures, and then we'll move to the next room.
More like a meeting of photographers. Yes, yeah, I totally understand that. We were the first group, I think, in Vermont. And I just say I think. I don't know. Like I said, I've only been in the field since 2001, 2002, I think is when I really got into the field. And we set up a public ghost hunt, basically, because we knew we weren't going to be able to do really anything scientific.
Uh-huh.
But it was a place that we've investigated several times, and we've always gotten interesting data from this particular location. So we're like, well, let's just have a general, ghost hunt, whatever. We've seen so many other organizations do it. So we're like, well, here in Vermont, there's not a lot of, or at least at that time, there weren't a lot of groups. So we're like, let's just do it. And we only were able, because of fire codes, allowed to have, I think, 30 people. We must have got at least 100 people that wanted to be part of it.
Well, see, that was your mistake. You never ask what the fire codes are.
Yeah, I know. Darn me. What's wrong? That's
always the first mistake.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was still chaos. I mean, with just 30 people, plus the investigators that worked it that night. I think.
How big of a place was it?
It's actually a bed and breakfast. It's an old Victorian style.
Yeah, we hosted an event here at a prison, and I mean the penitentiaries. It's huge, and we had 33 people around that, and I mean that was ridiculous as well.
We were tripping over each other.
Yeah, and a place that large, I can only imagine what a bed and breakfast was. Wow.
Yeah. Crazy. It was chaos with like nearly 30 people. I mean, we had to pretty much incorporate the outside, which actually did have rumors of this garden area being haunted. So, we'd have a group out that way. We would split up another group down towards the end of the end. Then, somebody would be down towards the basement, and they would radio each other when to switch up the groups. And that was the only way we could keep it somewhat organized, but you could hear other people trying to do the EVP sessions. And,
do you ever have any luck? Ever have any luck doing EVP work outside?
Actually, I think we've had a couple of pretty good EVPs outside. Actually, one that brings back in mind two locations I can think of. The Bridgewater Triangle area. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, in Freetown State Forest in Massachusetts.
Okay.
It's a location. It's a triangle mystery area. It's between these three areas in Freetown State Forest in Massachusetts. It's got a little bit of everything, from UFO and alien sightings to Bigfoot and Dover Demon Monster, which is another legend down that area, ghosts, hauntings, occult, and witchcraft. It's kind of all mixed in there. Just this big,
big fun
circle.
Place.
Yes. It's like, why do you need to go anywhere else? You can call yourself the Freetown State Forest Investigators. There's so much going on there, and I get people to this day sending me recordings that they have captured in the Freetown State Forest area, saying we were outside. I'm like, well, you understand that you can't exactly say, well, yeah, that's a Class A 100% EVP because you're outside, you're up for manipulations. But you can't completely rule it out either. So it's kind of a catch-20.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's the hardest.
You're like, well,
outside is the hardest just because wind could be blowing by and it could mess your entire deal up. The rustling of leaves or the crunching of sticks, everything will feed through the camera or the recorder in different ways, and it's just For me, it's been the most frustrating thing if we had to go outside for something.
Oh, it is. And, the only ones that you can really take into account and say, well, this is a possible Class A or Class B EVP because it was closer to the microphone. And one thing that the Zoom recorders offer is most of them have a scope on it that can actually show you where, the sound levels are. So then you can kind of rule out what's supposed to be the normal structure or the normal visual of your voice, the human voice is supposed to be, and where we kind of look for the ghostly audible sounds that are just below that. So luckily for those type of recorders, you can see that. But you're right. Eventually you have to go, well, then you're pretty much open to the elements at that point. So who knows what you caught. But it is difficult. It is difficult capturing EVPs outside, but it's not impossible.
Let me ask you this. How do you guys set up your investigations? I mean, let's say for a typical, ghost investigation, do you bring in, are you the type that bring in like the dowsing rods? Do you bring in a Ouija board? Do you just go off of more electrical stuff? How do you present yourself with it?
Right. We try to stay away from the Ouija boards and the dowsing rods. It's not because I believe the Ouija board is the portal to hell. I really don't believe in that personally. That's that's what I subscribe to.
Uh-huh.
I can't say that to other members. I know they just, we all come to the agreement that we just stay away from that stuff. That's, whatever your belief is, it doesn't matter. It's not a tool that we personally use. We try to go more scientific route. We do try to use the pseudo-scientific route as well with, the EV, like take the EMF meter, for instance. Not a lot of groups these days use it for what its original purpose is made for, which is just simply recording or attempting to record the data from the EMF meters, just looking for the regular electromagnetic field.
Yeah, and isn't it funny how it's become a ghost finder, and every time it goes off, people think that they've found a ghost?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And, that's not the way I was taught. And the group that I worked with originally, the person that taught me, was in it 20-plus years, and the person before him that was in it X amount of years. So since they've been using these devices, from the Geiger counter to the EMF meter, it's basically been used for the purpose of what it was used for. And that is to detect the fields. And what, we subscribe to, or most of us, I should say, I can't speak for everyone, is that this electromagnetic field detector, we're looking for the fields, the high volume fields, the low volumes, the bass lines, everything to that degree, just to say, well, this is what, the field was like during this investigation.
Mm-hmm.
What was the read-in when, someone was getting touched? What was the read-in when, object supposedly moved on its own, when people had their sightings? That's basically what we use it for, because there is zero proof, as you guys know, that there's zero proof that we even know that these things can manipulate the EMF field.
Well, the best also, I mean, high EMF, when you have high EMF, then that can cause like the weird eerie feelings,
yes,
the bad dreams,
Yep.
things like that. So, we've done plenty of houses where it's, if I can't sleep in that room anymore, I'm freaking out, blah, blah, blah. Well, that room's got like a high EMF reading, and it's like, well, move your bed. They move their bed, and then, everything's fine.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. That's all along the lines, because, we're talking about clinical, studies, that may not be even known to a lot of people that have been done, that proves that, high volumes of EMF is bad for you, just period. In layman's term, it is bad for you. It can cause hallucinations. It can cause dementia. It can cause memory loss. You said, there's some people that can be physically affected from EMF. So if anything, you're not a Ghostbuster, but you're an EMF buster. You're trying to go in there and eliminate that as a possibility, first and foremost. And that's part of the reasons why we do, pre-investigation walkthroughs. Is not only just to get the layout so we know where to put our equipment, but we want to eliminate that factor first.
Yeah.
Before we even waste the money and the time traveling to a location.
Good deal. If there was a long distance, you always have them like, take a bunch of pictures of your house and send them to me. That way we can weed some things out. We got to
hire an electronic contractor too.
We got to take a break real quick. If you hang tight, our guest tonight is Jeff Stewart with PINE in Vermont. During the break, you can check out his website, pinewengland.org, and we'll be right back. Whispers Radio. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Whispers here on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog.
Break everything.
I know. I had my finger on that button and I slipped off and it just kind of went pow. Right there at the end. It happens. Give us a call 304-214-1600 if you're out of the area. 1-866-514-1600. That's toll free. I'm Jordan Cline here with the lovely wife Sarah Cline and the lovely Lola Miller, sister wife.
Oh my.
No. No?
Oh, my God.
The offer only stands for another 30 seconds.
Sarah.
29, 28. No?
You didn't court me well enough.
I tried. 4 years. I've been with you for 4 years. Our guest today.
Save us.
Our guest tonight, Jeff Stewart with PINE in Vermont. How we doing, buddy?
Doing good so far. Just sitting back and listening.
So tell us some cases. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh. No, I was just going to say, yeah. Start off with some cases.
Yep.
Well, there's so many different ones. I guess I'll start off with my personal favorite thus far. And it's funny because it's not one that I've investigated, at length. It's probably the second favorite one is that way. Cobble Hill, here in Milton, Vermont, or near Milton, Vermont, is a mysterious location that I've kind of stumbled into. It's never been written about before. I've searched the Internet. I've even contacted a good friend of mine by the name of Joe Citro, who is a local author here in New England. He's written numerous books. I mean, just look up the guy's name, from Weird Vermont to... Or not Weird Vermont, sorry. Weird New England, part of the Weird service. Weird. The Weird books, basically. Weird New Jersey, Weird U.S.
Yeah, we had them on before.
Oh, did you? Oh,
yeah.
Mark and Mark?
Yeah,
those guys are great.
They're funny.
Well, they hired, they are. They hired Joe to do Weird New England, because he's been kind of our frontline leader, basically, of all the macabre and paranormal stories here in New England for many, many years. And he's part of the reason I got interested in the paranormal, was picking up his book as a 14, 15-year-old kid in the library just looking for something to read.
Really?
And I'm like, ooh, ghost stories, that's awesome, And I liked X-Files at the time, so... Yeah, it just kind of went hand in hand, and that kind of started my mission to one day to get in and research the paranormal. But so back, I'm getting off track here. I always do that, so I do apologize.
That's fine.
Cobble Hill is a very mysterious area, similar to what I was speaking about before, the Bridgewater Triangle, how there's just so much going on in this area of Massachusetts. But this is mostly reports of a UFO portal, a window area, if you will. It's been reported that people 1 minute would look up in the sky and they would see this huge UFO. Now, there's been two types of shapes that they've seen come and disappear, like it was going inside of a garage, except for it was just in the middle of the sky. And one of them was the classic saucer shape, kind of roundish. Now, they said this thing was so huge above them, it just covered the mountain. That's how large one of these ships were. The other one, a smaller craft, was the classic triangle craft. And basically these objects would just kind of, like I said, look like they're going to a garage, but they disappear completely, as if, the sky sucks them up.
Really?
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting because, I figured the first time I heard this, I'm like, all right, somebody's watched too many, episodes of UFO Hunters and X-Files. I'm like, I've never heard of anything like this. Contacted Joe Citro, contacted MUFON. Nobody's heard of this, so I kind of brushed it off. Not even a couple of months later, I'm at a festival, for spiritual mind, body, moonlight gifts up in the same area, Milton, Vermont.
Yeah.
And this person comes up to me and like, oh, have you heard of Cobble Hill? And by this time, I forgot completely about the window area. So I'm like, no. Why don't you give me your name, your number, and I'll contact you later. Shot them out an email. And they told me about it. I'm like, wait a minute, somebody did tell me something, similar to this. And I looked through, emails, from months ago, and I'm like, okay, different person. So I write them real quick, and I'm like, do you know so-and-so, the original person that wrote me the story? No, I'm sorry, I don't. I'm like, and there's a total age difference. This first person, looked like they were in their 40s when I eventually met with them.
Uh-huh.
The second person that came up to me, she was a younger girl. I thought, well, maybe they're siblings or whatever, or related somehow. But, according to them, they're not.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, well, this has got my interest. And I'm, at this point, ready to set up an investigation date. Just a couple of us go out, do some field measurements. Some sky watching is what we usually refer to it. And, lo and behold, we run into somebody there on the mountain, and they tell us about a time like the summer before that they witnessed a UFO craft while they were up there hiking.
Wow.
And it was during the day. They looked up and saw this huge craft go into this window area and just disappear. So,
now, what do you
different people, none of them are related.
Now, let me ask you this. What do you think about the theory that the UFOs are from another dimension, and that as they come in and they come out, people say, oh, my God, it just disappeared so fast, it just zipped away. What do you think of that it just, kind of slipped through its little portal, it slipped through its little wormhole? How do you feel on that? Have you ever heard that? Have you ever thought about that? Or?
Oh, no, I've heard of that, and I've read up on that theory as well. I try to keep an unbiased mind. Part of me, the skeptic in me, doesn't want to believe it at all, just thinks it's complete nonsense. But the other part of me has done enough research and knows that you kind of, you can't count every possibility out. You have to kind of take it into effect. Personally, for me to stand behind that theory and support it, I kind of have to see it for myself. Or I have to experience something similar to it to believe in it. Far as I know, some of these mysterious entities that people report and capture or supposedly capture on film and FLIR and whatnot, and even cryptozoological creatures that we've investigated, we get the same thing. The reason why we can't find remains of them is because they're, some kind of extra dimensional creature. And at this point, I can't rule it out, except, the skeptic in me wants to say, no, I really don't believe it. I have to see it for myself. But the investigator in me says, well, I got to keep an open mind about this.
I was about to say, isn't it hard to say, oh, I have to see it for myself and be a paranormal investigator? Isn't that kind of a oxymoron?
It's a battle. It is. It's a battle I fight every day. It's like a priest saying there's no such thing as the Holy Ghost, but yet I got to keep an open mind because that's my job. Believe me, I'm not trying to rip off Fox Mulder. Like I said, I grew up watching the show.
Yeah.
I want to believe.
Yeah.
But before I can stand behind it, I gotta have some kind of proof.
That's Lola.
Some kind of experience.
Lola wants an experience so bad it kills her.
Everybody else is, they get slapped, they get knocked down steps, go kiss them on the neck. Me, they just go, I don't want no party.
You're not alone.
Oh,
You're
good.
not alone.
I am so glad to hear somebody else say that because, people are always asking me, what experiences have you had? None.
They're like, why are you doing this? I just got an interest like everyone else.
Either that or I'm just crazy, but,
No, she's in it because the station said that there was going to be a show and that it was during her time spot to fill for producer. That's why she's here. But then she fell in love with it.
You're just throw me under the bus there, Jordan.
Well, it's funny when we first started. I remember after our first episode, she goes, "Well, I'll be your producer today, but you guys are going to have to find somebody for the rest of the shows." 4 years later.
There was an hour more work.
4 years later.
Or no, it was 2 hours more work.
Yeah, 2 hours then.
Yeah. Oh, I get crabby when I don't get enough sleep.
No, it's for the love. It really is. It's, I guess I can say I'm, even though I want to be Fox Mulder, I'm probably more Dana Scully. I'm there for the experience.
Yeah.
Well,
I really am.
You get bit by that bug, and you can't help but just want to immerse yourself in all this stuff and find out as much as you can because it's something that's. Well, I mean, nowadays it's more talked about, but I know growing up, I was the weird kid that wanted the ghost story book.
Yes. See, there you go. We got that in common too. The more. Meanwhile, teenagers, when they first get their license, they can't wait to go down and cruise the, at least here in Vermont, downtown area and Lake Champlain, beaches and things of that nature, and try to, try to have fun or whatever. Me, myself, at 16, I grabbed my ghost book that had all the local stories, ghosts, monsters, and aliens, and I went around looking for all these locations
there you go.
to have an experience.
Like, I want to see where this stuff happened,
Knock Knock Street.
Exactly.
I think everybody has a Knock Knock Street in their in their area. We did. Yeah. Supposedly some guy got run over by a car and his arm got cut off, and when you drive real slow down the road, you can hear it knock, knock, knocking on the bottom of your car. I don't know how many times we scared ourselves silly with that,
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Nowadays I hear the term legend tripping is what a lot of people call it. I don't know, the definition behind that. I don't know how it got started. It's just when I tell people that I just basically just got in the car, drove around looking for haunted locations or, monster locations and alien locations, people are like, oh, so you're like legend tripping. You weren't really investigating. You were just checking them out. Yeah, I was just a tourist in my own state.
Yeah.
So, and of course, Cobble Hill is something, that I've come to fall in love with over the years because it's so interesting. I'm trying to, get these witnesses to come out and allow me to at least use, part of their names or something to that because I really think, when it comes out, it'll get interesting because it's really, since I've started talking about it, I even blogged about it, which I don't really have it anymore. I just kind of let it go. Someone actually said, oh, yeah, Cobble Hill. There was this hairy little creature there, too. Did you know about that? I'm like, well, I'm just going to chalk that one off for now.
Yeah, I was there. No.
Now, yeah. And again, it could have been my younger brother. I don't know.
Yeah. What is your next favorite? Because you said your second favorite is something that you put a lot of research in.
Yes, that's the place that I told you we had the ghost tours in. It's called Back in Time. I do have their permission to talk about it. Believe me, if you write them and want to spend the night there, please tell them Jeff Stewart of Paranormal Investigators of New England sent you. No, we don't get any kickback for it. There's no such thing as making money in this field.
There we go.
It's just nice to get credit where credit is due. The Back in Time, which is INN Time.us, I think it is the website. It's such a beautiful place, and I honestly thought this woman is just looking for eventual ghost tours. I really thought that, even though until she met me and I told her that it's okay to put this stuff online, people aren't going to think you're nuts, she didn't want the story out.
Really?
She was very hush-hush about it, yes. She's like, I just want a bed and breakfast in Vermont, but I cannot ignore this stuff that's going on. I cannot ignore the experiences people keep leaving in the journals by the bed. I can't ignore the emails and letters that I get from all over the world and all over the country of people that stay here about this, these entities that they keep seeing throughout the place. And sure enough, like I said, I thought this was just all weird until she told me that, and I was able to verify it. So,
what did you find?
Well, one of the recordings that we got, and it's a past investigator is the person that got this, and I really apologize because I know a lot of people ask me for this, and I have to ask them, and I have to get permission from them to put it up on the website, because first time I did this, I ended up getting myself almost in trouble by them. The recording sounded like somebody moving around, like shoes hitting the floor, and then you hear somebody saying, "Come on, it's time to go." And that was it. And I'm like, what the heck is that supposed to mean? Come on, it's time to go.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, like, that could be anything. It could be anyone in that place. What I like to do, and I'm sure a lot of people do, is we try to tie EVPs to somebody that was important that stayed in the house or lived in the house, or an event that surrounded the time. Like something traumatic had to happen to make that so important that it recorded itself on, our time zone, on the Earth's plane.
Yeah.
Whatever you prefer to classify EVPs. There was a great raid in Albans, Vermont, where this haunted bed and breakfast is.
Okay.
That was called the Great St. Albans Raid. There was a movie about it in the 50s. Basically, just a little, I think it was a little before the Civil War ended, a bunch of Confederate soldiers, probably no more than a handful of Confederate soldiers, plus a couple of hired gunmen from Canada, snuck in from the Canadian border, disguised themselves as Canadian businessmen, lived in a bunch of these boarding houses, which we were able to find out that this was a boarding house, and they pretty much, made this plan that this is what we're going to do. We're going to rob two of the town's banks, which had, the most money any small town can have, and then to distract them, to, hold off the forces from coming after us, we're just going to burn this village down. And that's pretty much what they did.
Wow.
They robbed a couple of banks, and as they were doing it, they tore off their clothes or their overcoats or their blankets, whatever they had over them, and they revealed that they were Confederate soldiers, and they didn't really kill anybody, they just shot at, up in the air to scare people. They, let a bunch of buildings downtown St. Albans on fire, and like I said, they walked away with a lot of money and a lot of clothes and camping needs and things of that nature, and they took off.
I've never heard anything. I've never heard of that story before, that they snuck in through Canada.
It's because it's in Vermont.
Well,
that's our ongoing joke. There's a lot of people don't know about Vermont.
we have good candy. You do. Maple candy. I love it.
That's it. I was about to say, everybody knows it as for maple and cows. Well, yeah, there's that too. And Ben & Jerry's ice cream, but
there you go.
We've got a lot
I
of
know that one.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, looking at your website here, it says that you're proud to announce that you have joined the Taps family.
Yes.
Is that new, or is that old news and I'm slow?
Well, it's kind of old news. I believe we're on our
You're so generous.
almost third year now.
I like to be cutting edge. That's what it is. I'm very cutting edge.
I'm never keeping that thing up where it should be. There's like all the investigations. There's so many more to put on there, but like you guys know, you can't put down every place you investigate, and I just don't want to list private resident, such and such town, private resident, such and such. It's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
I put the places up that I know people can go to, that you can look up and say, "Oh, I want to go there." Kind of a guide almost of where to go to, or a case that is, that we're working on that is very interesting, and we have to share the evidence, such as the Sasquatch footprint.
Oh, yeah. You got a lot of Sasquatch in Vermont?
That is one of my other favorite stories I'll get to.
Okay.
But the back in time.
Well, we only got a couple minutes.
Oh, my goodness.
That right?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, so the back in time, we've got some EVPs. People have had personal experiences. It was just overwhelming. It really was. It's definitely a place that if you go to, you're most likely going to have an experience there.
Now,
all right, sign me up. Sign me up.
Lola's ready to go.
Come on up.
Yep.
Jeff, your website, Pine W England. What's the W stand for?
It's PI New England.
Oh, yes, I see it. I'm an idiot.
Everybody's like, what is that? I'm like, well, no, it's PI New England.
I'm like, Pine
Short
W
for the Paranormal
England.
Investigators of New England. Yeah.
Pine with England.
No, I'm just going to let you roll with it.
PI New England. I get it. Oh, jeez.
You should see how bright it just got in here.
I think somebody lit a fire. Right?
Yeah. That's all right. We all have our moments.
Oh, jeez.
He's got more than most.
PINewengland.org is the website.
Yeah.
Let's get to Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Yes. Well, I'll try to do the best I can in the short amount of time. Basically, we were called up to what this person thought was Native American spirits drumming and making weird noises in her back of her house, which is just like 6 or 7 acres of land in back of her house. It's just huge, and it is a well-known Abenaki Native American land. So it's, they found arrowheads and things of that nature. So she really thought that these were spirits that were haunting her location, her house. So she contacted us, and we go up there, and she's telling about the stories in her house where she's seen this entity and that entity. She had a sugar shack, sugar house from, the early 1800s or whatever, and she's experienced stuff in there. So we go up into the woods, and I kind of veer away, and I'm like, what is that? Just looking down, and there's this huge, like, almost toeless footprint just staring at me. And I look up, of course, and there's another full normal-sized footprint. Normal Sasquatch-sized footprint now, with the 5 toes, the whole 9 yards. And this thing goes on for probably a mile and a half.
Did you track it?
It doesn't necessarily end. It goes into a nearby swamp.
So you didn't go in the swamp after it? Where's your dedication?
I know.
How big were the?
Had waders on.
Yeah, forget the waders. Just jump in. How big was the foot print?
Yeah. Oh, it was probably 21 inches long.
Like Bill Lambert's feet.
Yeah, it was huge.
You were tracking an NBA player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a size 12 foot.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the picture, mine's right next to it.
Yeah.
And that thing just swallows up both my feet if I put them together.
Wow.
Yeah.
How big across, at the toes? How wide would you say, the toe spread?
Toe to heel, I want to say, oh, man, I don't have my measurements in front of me. I want to say it was, God, what did I say, 23?
Something like 21.
I want to say.
Well, I'm thinking side to side.
Yeah.
How big we talking?
Double width, triple width.
We're talking
6 inches, 12 inches wide.
Oh, you mean width? Oh,
yeah.
Big toe to pinky toe.
Out the strides. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. It was 7 inches wide.
Wow.
maybe 6.5, and that's just in the center.
Jeez.
This thing was huge.
Wow.
And I think what we added up the stride, and I think basically this creature would be, or whatever it is, I can't say what till I see it, was maybe 7'1".
Oh, my gosh.
And, oh, God, I don't even want to guess how many pounds. It was so phenomenal. And this is an active investigation. The problem we're having is the person that owns the land is kind of in but out. You know, like we set something up and they kind of back out at the last minute.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have had that happen.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so
all right. Now, when you track him down, will he be on your website?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have the did you cast the footprints? You have the pictures on your website?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. I got the weird foot is what I call it, because it's got
Weird foot.
the big toe. Well, you'll see it. It's got like the big toe, but the 4 little toes are missing from it. And I thought maybe it was just that particular imprint.
Yeah.
But that kept going on every set that we found leading through the swamp.
Wow.
So whatever this is, it's missing some toes.
Probably stepped in a bear trap or something. Or,
Well, we put up, right, you're right, it could have. We put up some trail cams. We've done that a couple of times. Like I said, we're still really, really hoping to just go there and just camp out for a couple of nights.
Wow, that'd be fun.
Like I said, that would be awesome. I mean, we've been geared up to do it for some time now. There's just so much out there that we still got to investigate, but that is definitely my top favorite 3.
Yeah, Jeff, we are out of time. I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. We're going to have you back on when we get the show kick-started back in South Carolina. Yeah, you're our last show at this station, so congrats.
Oh, well,
there shall be an award.
Yeah.
But thank you very much. PINewEngland.org. Go. You can see I'm actually looking at a picture of the footprint now, so you can go check that out and see what and all he's got going on, because it's a lot of fun. Jeff Stewart, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night.
Okay.
Sad times.
Yep, it is.
I want to thank everybody in the Ohio Valley here that listens to the show. It's been good times, 4 years with you guys. Stay in touch. Whispersradio.com. The show will be starting back up August 6th down in South Carolina. The shows are still going to be recorded, put on the website. The shows are still going to be on iTunes. It's still going to be on Pal Talk, UPRN. We're still going through syndication. Thank you, Lola.
Thank you, Jordan.
Until whatever happens, check us online. Until then, don't be afraid, only believe.